Oh my God, y'all. Oh my God. It has been quite the week. There's been a lot going on. So for those of you not in the know, there is kind of some breaking furry drama going on right now. Basically, what has been happening is we've been seeing some issues going on with Corgi Events LLC and DenFur. It's been a little rough. It's been a little hard. It's actually been quite the emotional ride for me, but we're going to be diving into and kind of doing a deep dive on the DenFur drama. I've recorded multiple streams here as we've been going through it, as we've been experiencing it live. Please understand that this is a very emotional bit for me, and I've been struggling with it a bit myself, but we're just going to get into it. We're going to check it out, and we're going to try and look at this objectively, okay? I just want to say to every single person out there, if y'all want to check me out live while I am making these videos, please consider hopping on over to my Twitch. That is twitch.tv/ashcoyote. Link is down in the description below and might be popping up above my head right here. I don't know. Anyways, lots of love, y'all. Let's dive into this drama. So for those of you that don't know, for those of you that might be, like newer to the fandom or not on Twitter or anything like that, some stuff has been going down with DenFur, which is my local furry con. It's a furry con that I was guest of honor at. It's a furry con that one of my friends, Boiler, was a con chair at and since resigned. There's just been a lot going on there, and I just feel like we need to talk about it. We just need to have a frank conversation. First and foremost, for those of you that, may have only known DenFur and never known RMFC. RMFC was our first con here in Colorado, and it was my first furry con ever. Oh God, the first time I went there, it was like maybe 100 people in the basement of a hotel. Like, that's how small it was. It was certainly, like an experience. And it was my first experience in the fandom. Now, later on down the line, there's a lot of stuff that came out about RMFC. People that ran it were sympathetic to the alt furries. A lot of you folks know them as kind of like the furry raiders or Nazi furs. And it led to those people getting a bunch of personal information on everybody who attended the con, like personal financial documents, names, addresses, the whole 9 yards. And it was just like, oh my God, this is freaky and scary, which ultimately led to the downfall of that convention. I know there's always like a lot of hype, right, around, like a convention going down. It's never a pleasant thing. These conventions are a special place for our community. I'm going to try my best not to pick sides while going through this, but to be objective and to kind of view it and understand it as it is, and explore the legitimacy of the claims. And we're gonna watch this as it unfolds. Honestly, we really are, because right now, this stuff is pretty fresh. It started happening about 11 hours ago, and it's sure to have resolution here probably in the next week or so. But this is definitely something that I just think needs to be talked about. So first and foremost, there was an email that was sent out. An email sent out to all the dealers with Corgi for DenFur. And this email was sent by an employee that I believe quit shortly after. It's obviously meant to be disruptive in some way, and it has a lot of interesting claims in it that I don't know how to feel about at this point. So I just want to figure it out. Please, dealers, if you have not already paid for DenFur, do not pay now. Our con owner is planning to steal money from Eventbrite sales, file for bankruptcy, and bail. Please, if you have not already paid, don't start. If you have paid, the best I can offer you is this guide to how to ask Eventbrite for your money back. Okay, so obviously that's a lot. This would take conversations with Treble. So Treble runs Corgi Events. So Treble Van Doren over here. This is one of those things that you're just like, okay, I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know what is going on, and we need to, as a community, seek out proof that this is what is going on. I, for one, don't want to see my local con go under, and I certainly don't want to see and wish ill will on any furry business, but if this is the case, that's certainly something to be very concerned about, and it is is definitely a problem. Yeah, so here was another email that was just sent out. Hello dealers, the previous email was made in a rush. I'd like to apologize. I made false claims based on information I was given that may or may not be true. Please know that it was in the best interest to help dealers, as I know that times have been rough. I panicked to say the least. Please keep an eye out for an official statement from Corgi Events in the coming days. Any further concerns or questions may be forwarded to Trouble. Yeah, it's looking a little sus. So there's been a lot of folks associated with the con, a lot of folks associated with Corgi Events that have either come out and quit now or otherwise denounced the Furry Con. And that leads me to side more on this, like maybe there is some truth to some of this. But that being said, it's also like trying to really suss things out and understand that, this is incredibly concerning and stuff that really needs to kind of be drawn up and explored. Okay, so this is a former employee. They've written a thread about the con, and they were the AV lead. They're somebody that I know personally. So Sparks says, we all quit Corgi Events because this dude essentially took 80 grand from Koi Vixen, fired them, and ran with it. If that is the case, there needs to be, legal action. 80 grand is absurd. Like that is absolutely an absurd amount of money. That is so much money. And if they did take it and they did run with it, yes, that needs to be, something that is addressed in a legal manner, as in not tweeting about it, but this is something for the courts to decide. This is something that has long-lasting legal ramifications. Here's the next part. The entire company is falling apart because he refuses to act like an adult and essentially force someone else to run his conventions while he's off drunk. I have seen how people behave at furry cons. I've seen how some con chairs behave at furry cons. And I can say that some folks do behave in this manner. I can't really say that I've spent a terrible ton of time with Trouble, despite, having done an interview with them and had like a lunch and stuff with them. So I can't say that, I can really confirm this aspect of it, but I can say that that's definitely a lot of things that people have seen and said, and I've heard that in hearsay. It's just one of those things I think that just happens at cons. I ran the convention websites, managed the main stage, and was the AV lead, and I'm done. Sin City FurCon was a fucking nightmare because of the negligence of this man. He owes hundreds of thousands of dollars to his friends, and instead of working out repayment, he fires them. Again, I didn't even know that Sin City FurCon was going on right now. That's how unplugged I've been from a lot of this stuff, but that's really sad if that was the case, and I think that we need to kind of work through that and have a discussion of it. Sin City FurCon was a disaster. We as lower level staff members were essentially running the con while this dude was off drinking and pretending like things were going fine. Never in my life have I seen so many staff members straight up cry because of no leadership. That's scary if that's the case, given the implications of a convention like that. For those of you not in the know, Sin City FurCon was a furry con that's kind of focused around some of the more adult aspects of the fandom. That being said, leadership is incredibly important in a convention like this, especially considering the implications around such an event. This is dealing with adult situations, right? So I would think that the leadership must be at its absolute most powerful in a convention like that. And if this is in fact the case that there was no leadership, then that is inexcusable. Okay, so at the Corgi Events website, so this is corgievents.com, okay? So this says a statement from Corgi Events. Good evening, all Corgi Events attendees, dealers, artists, and staff. I wanted to send out a letter to let you know that the prior email from us regarding anything involving anything monetary is 100% inaccurate, invalid, and untrue. We here at Corgi Events are in no shape or form filing for bankruptcy, stealing money from the company, and we are continuing to have conventions for, at minimum, via our contracts for the next 3 years. I want to apologize to anyone who felt distressed, frightened, concerned, or apprehensive over any emails, Telegram messages, Twitter posts, Discord messages, or otherwise that have been said and or shared. There are rumors going around that I owe employees upwards of $80K. Again, if that's true, legal action. This is grossly untrue and a major exaggeration of a minor misunderstanding. We here at Corgi Events LLC put our attendees, dealers, artists, and staff comfort above our own. Regarding the situation, there was a recent employee who was released from the company who held the position of Corgi Events LLC Operations of Events. Due to this, there has been some backlash due to this decision. Okay, I see what they mean. Obviously, this is hastily written. This decision was not out of spite and is not related to any previous actions or decisions that individual has made. If for any reason this uncertainty has caused you any distrust, unrest, or disbelief, and you'd like to either transfer or refund your dealer's end table or badge, please email refunds@Corgi Events and we will refund and transfer you as soon as we're able to. Thank you for understanding, and I hope to see you at future Corgi Events. Trouble Van Dorn. So that is Trouble's response to what's going down. One of the things that happened previously, as I'm sure you all are aware, was there was an accusation of embezzlement from Lemon Brat on the part of Trouble. Again, I do not know if this is true. Lemon Brat alleges financial manager diverted more than $40,000 in funds. So this went through court. I don't know if it was settled. I don't know the nature of the settlement, but this is what the argument was. And the reason that I'm bringing this up is only because this was brought up in the chat. I just felt like, hey, this is the time to address it if we're going to address it. I heard that Alurius is saying that they came to an agreement in court. So that I'm assuming that there was some form of settlement agreement that was made and this was kind of moved on from. That being said, track records do have a tendency to speak for themselves. Like you see somebody make a mistake once and you say, okay, that was a mistake. You see that same mistake or similar mistake happen multiple times, then it's cause for concern. I do not want to see DenFur fail. I do want to see answers to these accusations. I want to see the truth come out. I want to know if this is actually, an issue that is going on. And if it is, let's talk about it. My heart is for the fandom. I truly love the fandom. The furry fandom gave me a home. A place where I could feel like myself. It's the place that I so idyllically covered in my film, The Fandom. But I think that, we can't understate how important community is to queer spaces, to queer individuals, to folks like myself and y'all in the chat. So to see a convention in trouble, it's a somber sight. It's difficult. It's not something I want to see. It's genuinely sad. Good morning, every single one of y'all. Oh my god, I am so happy to see every single one of y'all here. It is just such a wonderful morning. I just gotta say that, I'm sorry that I was incapacitated for the past 4 days. I wasn't able to really wrap my brain around everything that was going on with DenFur, and it was just kind of making me really depressed. And it was making me depressed for a lot of reasons. I think it goes without saying that when any furry drama comes up, it affects a lot of different people. And in my case, being a local Colorado furry for the past, 14 years. Of course, my husband and I had a lot of hours into trying to help DenFur become DenFur. And oh my goodness, it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I've just been trying to get all that processed. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. It appears that, there was a lot of issues going on behind the scenes, and we're going to look at a few of those things. So there was talk of Corgi embezzling something like $80,000, running out with $80,000. So that figure turns out to be the amount of money that one of the staff members is owed. Shortly after that, y'all might know, do you know Omnom? Omnom started to speak up. So Omnom was a member of Corgi Events as well. And they brought this up, talking to Treble. So Treble is also Corey Woods. They kind of ended up confronting Treble here head on. And of course, Omnom brings up the Lemon Brat drama. Corey Woods, aka Treble, was accused of embezzling money. But like obviously there's a track record here, a track record that is just like, oh my god. So you can see here what they're saying. So they've admitted to doing the stuff with Lemon Brat and everything else. Actually, you can see this here. So this was the DenFur official staff and all the people that were removed pretty aggressively. So like we're seeing kind of the dark side of how conventions are run and what conventions go through. It's the sad part and the frustrating part of all this to me is that, like here we have a series of conventions that were run mostly by volunteers. People who volunteered their own time and their own leisure time at that. So people who went to a con to work for a weekend for our community. They did that out of the goodness of their own heart. They did that to help out. And, it was a person up at the top that exploited. So this is Boiler. They're at Just Boiler over on Twitter. They have since resigned their post from Corgi Events. They were the con chair. They were the con chair of DenFur. And you know what? They are a genuinely nice and wonderful person. This is my Corgi Events LLC statement with the full facts as I know them, because I'm seeing my friends and fellow ex-Corgi staff get hurt by bad actors and misinformation. To watch them get beaten up and used by the events unfolding via Corgi, and they get punched again because people just have to be involved and push their hurt at literally anyone who will respond is too heartbreaking for me to bear. This issue is not black and white. I cannot summarize it in a Twitter post, and to attempt to do so would be ludicrous. I love this convention. This is my convention. It has my heart, my art, my love, my blood, sweat, and tears, my sleepless nights. I never ever wanted to hurt it. I never wanted to see it talked about this way. Myself and the community put so much into this show. And if something happens to it, I will be devastated. Again, I cannot say it enough. This has been a really hard and difficult time for me and for all the local Colorado furries. This sucks. It genuinely sucks seeing all this go down. And you know what? I feel for every single person who's volunteered over the years with these cons, because you know what? I did too. To summarize, for those who do not know, and to clarify, Corgi Events is an LLC with a single owner, Corey Woods, or Treble. He owns DenFur, Sin City Mercon, Painted Desert FurCon, Golden State FurCon, and Aquatifur. There is, or was, a full board of members who helped at the top level overseeing each department for each con we ran. Corey was the owner and was responsible for contracts, finances, bookkeeping, asset management. It was the con's intention to pay us. The idea was that all staff should be paid, everyone working for the cons. I even received a contract, but after COVID, that became something of a pipe dream. COVID affected the cons deeply financially. It was a huge hit for Corgi Events to miss out on hosting these events. In order to make up for this, we hosted our events in fairly rapid succession. DenFur, then Aquatifur, then PDFC, then Sin City Mercon, then Golden State FurCon. We were even told again recently that contracts and payments would begin again, with payments due during DenFur, since this was the show that often took in the most funds. So I continued to work for free, with the idea that I would be paid for all the work that I've done with this coming DenFur. This took an enormous toll on all of us as far as energy reserves while a pandemic was still raging. All of us had other jobs to mind as well. And to run 5 conventions was an enormous, heavy lift for the board members that were organizing everything for their departments. But we were all dedicated to our job and the community. So we worked tirelessly to make sure these events still happen. It's hard to read this, honestly. I'm getting emotional just looking at it because, there's a lot of feels here. There's a lot of emotions put into this because this was our heart and soul of our local community. If we could have, I suspect we would have declined to host a number of these events, but we needed the income, and we're contractually obligated to do so. Corgi tends to book out their contracts with 3 years built in. Not only did staff that weren't on the board get overworked because of it, the board never stopped working. I know this even is a fact for other furry conventions like MFF and BLFC, as I have had many reports of conventions operating on extremely low staff numbers. So the facts were, we were running multiple events with little staff, with the board doing most of the heavy lifting when it came to larger decisions and overall event running. I was often seen in registration, Coyote was often seen helping in the den, Rory and Nova pulled almost all-nighters to make sure that things ran the way they needed to. Everyone had a hand in making these events go off, so it was fun for all of our attendees that supported us by attending these cons. We supported each other. We were determined to put on a good show and support our community through the difficult times. Even if we were exhausted, miserable, and overworked, we stood there for everyone to make sure that it happened. Dealers needed income too, especially after COVID, and I personally was sharply aware of this. But there was a problem. We were in dire straits. The convention was in enormous trouble. We were about to send 500 plus attendees and 70 plus dealers home the day the convention was set to start. Dealers were literally going to load in an hour. We were scrambling. Treble was trying to negotiate desperately with the hotel. Treble was not sober and the board was not part of those discussions. But the hotel's stance was clear. They were not going to let us open the doors or use our spaces until they received full funds up front. This is something for those of you that aren't aware of how conventions are run or what kind of goes on behind the scenes. Usually cons and their contracts, they're kind of paid, like the day of or at the end of the con or whatever. But since COVID happened, they wanted all this money up front. Treble, when going through these negotiations, even pulled his pants down in the hotel lobby and proceeded to yell at the front desk staff, "Fuck this hotel, you can suck my dick." Apparently that actually happened, by the way. Treble managed to get $25K to the hotel. It was enough to get us into operations and open the dealer set so they could begin loading in. A person who requested to remain anonymous, one of our dear friends and a staffer, stepped in at that point when he heard what was going on and fronted the convention another $25K of his own life savings in order for the convention to actually operate for the weekend. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional. Somebody out of the kindness of their own heart, the goodness of their own heart, was willing to step up and allow this event to happen. DenFur was a special con to me. DenFur was my first ever, guest of honor appearance as a creator. And, I watched all these people, my friends, individuals who volunteered and helped put this con on, work their asses off to put this convention on. And I had a wonderful time because of them. It's just sad. It's a lot. And as all this stuff comes out, I'm sitting here somebody was willing to put $25,000 of their own money, their own hard-earned money on the line so that this convention could happen for our community. And we have somebody who is walking up to the front desk at a hotel showing them his dick. It's a stark contrast to really what is going on, behind the scenes with these things. It takes one bad actor to make everyone look terrible. There was no contract or any agreement for repayment in writing for this person's loan, just a promise of repayment. I sincerely hope he sees his money again. Based on how many people are coming out about being owed money, some back to 2019, I have my doubts, but I truly hope his life savings aren't lost. Thus, the con was able to run. Other things began to happen. The hotel was beginning to charge rooms up front for damages, as if they were very concerned that they wouldn't be paid in some way. The hotel was a large source of aggrievement. But as these problems arose, Chai was left to handle them. Treble was primarily at the bar, or just completely missing. For 2 days, he ignored her messages, pleading with him about the funds the hotel was insisting we pay for rooms. On Sunday, Treble insisted on attending a football game off-site instead of handling the growing financial straits the convention was now facing, leaving it again instead for Koi and Chai to answer for it. It's a lot, but I watched Koi and Chai go through this too. I watched them go through this. I watched that we had a lunch because I was the guest of honor, and they were like, here, you know what, we'll cover your lunch, you know, like we'll take you out, we'll sit you down, we'll talk. And they were so kind and so sweet. I remember just how stressed both of them were. Like when you see people under stress a lot, you can really tell, and there's just a sense of dread that happens, you know. God, it was so hard to watch. Like, it's so hard to watch all this, but like, you know, Koi and Chai, they're good people. Treble pulled me aside midway through the convention while drunk and asked me what I would do if he fired Koi. I told him I would leave. I said truthfully that I couldn't do these events without her help, her knowledge, her expertise. I told him it would be a mistake to fire her. She had worked selflessly for him for 6 years. Corey told me to my face that he believed that if he fired Koi, he wouldn't owe her any of the back pay. That's that $80K we were talking about, by the way. He also believed that he didn't owe her for the work she did during COVID because we weren't hosting conventions. The con still needed work and attention. All of us worked through COVID. Corey has no money with which to pay Koi, and instead of being truthful and upfront, he fired her instead. It was a financial decision that proved to me that, again, he only saw Koi in terms of her labor, not as a person. He didn't even speak to her about it. He also became agitated with me for, I guess, picking sides in his view, and then told me that I was replaceable and he could work circles around me. This is what I personally took the most umbrage with. I worked faithfully for 6 years for these events, even through my own personal hardships and drama that had nothing to do with me. No full-time pay, no thanks, just because I could give back and wanted to give back to a community that had given me so much. Full transparency, I was compensated over the years in other ways, so I will make that clear. Sometimes I had my room paid for. Sometimes they paid for my travel. Sometimes I got a free super patron gift since I designed and produced them all myself. I was able to attend the sponsor dinner for some years. So this wasn't without its perks, but the promise of being paid for the actual work I had done as a third job year-round never came to be. Corey never arranged this non-monetary pay for me or comps. Koi did. So I knew if she wasn't there to advocate for the work completed, I wouldn't see any sort of comp at all. If Corey didn't need me, though, as he stated, I was going to leave. Koi and Chai finally decided an emergency board meeting was needed. This was on the last day of Sin City Mercon, on Sunday afternoon. Someone had to be the adult in the room and be honest with the other board members regarding the current state of finances. We had to come up with ideas for funds. We had to come up with a way to make up a $5,000 disparity. We needed to brainstorm as a team because that's what we were, a team. It was towards the end of this meeting that Corey finally rushed in, only to tell us things like they can take me to court. There was no money. The GOH rooms were going to be left unpaid. $700 per a guest of honor stay. This was unacceptable, we told him. He needed to do something. We needed to do something. At this point, Corey pulled me out into the hallway and reiterated that he believed Koi was still somehow at fault for the financial disorder. Koi, who had been running the show while he was drunk. Koi, who was the only support system. Koi, who had tried to make things work despite his problems. He said, we had a conversation back in 2019 when we were both drunk, and I have 4 witnesses to the fact that Koi said if the con went under, she would be financially responsible for half the shortcomings. Because Koi was not financially tied into the cons, it was easy to blame her? I couldn't make sense of this. I recalled she asked for partial ownership of the convention with this stipulation, as I was there too. To my knowledge, Koi is not on any contracts for the hotels or earns any money directly from income from Sin City Mercon. So how is that fair? Koi and Chai pulled funds from the con store, a little over $3,000, and Corey somehow convinced a friend to to put down another $3,000 and another $2,000. With these three amounts, the guest of honor rooms were going to be covered. The meeting ended, the con ended shortly thereafter. A singular conversation in 2019 does not a convention make. Having regrets after a convention is done is no one's fault. At no point was there a discussion that Corey did not want to host Sin City Mercon, that he did not want to sign a contract, that he didn't want to put out bids in Las Vegas. Nothing. But Corey decided to scapegoat Coy instead of once again admitting to the fact that as an organization we were having issues. Corey's name is on the paperwork. Corey was in hotel negotiations. He is ultimately the owner, as he stated multiple times before. And it takes months, if not years, of careful communication, promotion, and coordination to get a con started. It doesn't just happen. Sin City Mercon was a con we were all looking forward to and excited about. Just because things didn't go great doesn't mean that this is a singular person's fault, and certainly not one that has been covering for the con owner despite all the alcoholism. That was when trouble fired Coy, a day or so after the con. That brings us to now. What I know about the con finances. I know there's money in Eventbrite. I know that likely Corey will find a way to host both GSFC and DenFur this year. He is contractually obligated to host these shows, or he would owe a lot more money. I have seen no indication those cons have issues other than their lack of funds from Sin City Mercon and Corey's lack of personal money. I hope they go off without any problem. I'm wishing them the best. So let's kind of talk this down a little bit, y'all. Boiler is a top tier member. Boiler has been a part of DenFur and Corgi events pretty much since this was going on, and I trust their perspective. I genuinely do. I believe that there was a lot of issues here at play. The biggest issue being what was going on with Corgi events itself, the leadership at the top. If you're running around drunk at conventions, if you're not paying attention to what is going on, if you are acting like there's nothing that's actually going on right now, oh no, nothing is going on. And in all actuality, you're having people front $25,000, thousands of dollars to put this con on, to open the doors to that convention. There is a problem. I am sorry, but there is a huge problem there. I'm going to see if I can pull up the statement from Corgi Events. Hello, everybody. Many people out there depend on the conventions hosted by Corgi Events LLC, be it for financial reasons, personal identity reasons, or mental health reasons. These include ourselves as we draft this open letter to the community. Over the past week, there has been a firestorm of rumors, lies, truths, hurt feelings, and more. These have not been healthy for so many people throughout the fandom, and answers are needed. Please bear with us as we get you the answers you are requesting. We are willing to share what information we have, but please understand that it's still early in the process. We have been asked two main questions over and over lately. What is going to happen to Corgi events, and what is Trouble's involvement? While there are many decisions to be made, ultimately, Corgi Events LLC is going to cease to exist. Several members of the fandom have already stepped forward and will complete the formation of a new nonprofit organization. Control of all Corgi Events LLC holdings will be secured by this new nonprofit organization, including some of the obligations that Corgi Events LLC has accrued. We have already begun the process of forming this new nonprofit organization. However, this process takes time, and we will provide updates as they come. Secondly is the concern of Trouble. We do not know everything that is going on in his personal life. However, we do hold the following regarding Corgi Events LLC and the new nonprofit organization. Trouble is the one who created Corgi Events, and with the help of other parties has created several major events that we care deeply for. Instead of letting everything crash and burn, he has agreed to this transfer of property and responsibility to the new nonprofit organization. Trouble is neither a board member of the new nonprofit organization, nor is it our intention to ever make him one. The convention's DenFur, Golden State FurCon, Painted Desert FurCon, Aquatifur will continue to be scheduled. With regards to Sin City MerCon, we will have more information on that at a later date. If for any reason this uncertainty has caused you any distrust, unrest, or disbelief, and you'd like to either refund or transfer your dealers and table and or dealer's assistant badge, please email refunds@corgievents.com, which is now controlled, that's important, it's now controlled by the nonprofit organization. The new nonprofit board of directors are from many different regions. More importantly, we are all from the states where all the conventions are held. So we keep your cons local. The board of directors are all volunteers. Please bear with us as the new nonprofit team is working to update and move the websites to new servers. Please keep an eye out on social media for each event for updates and links. In closing, more information will be forthcoming. Please give us time to get things set up and we will be sharing more with you all as soon as we are able. That's signed Amazon, Kiggy, Maxwell, Nova, Rory, Bonbon, I'm assuming that's Bonbon, Wolf Tech, and Zeno. The board of directors of Anthropomorphic Events Incorporated Organization United. Wow, that's that's a mouthful. Yeah, okay, so this is, Corgi is ceasing to exist. It looks to be that is kind of the important thing here. All the people that have continually put hours of their lives, their free time, into making these events possible. The volunteers, the staff members, every single one of these people deserves your support. Even Treble deserves your support to a certain degree. I mean, like, the important thing to understand here, I don't know, I've seen Treble drink at cons. I think everybody who's ever been to one of those cons has probably seen Treble drink. Do I know if they have a problem with alcoholism? Well, I mean, a lot of people are saying that right now. And you know what? Honestly, I wish them the best. Addiction is a hard thing to overcome. I've dealt with substance abuse myself. Before I transitioned, I went through a really hard time, and it's not easy. But man, you need to get help. Ask for help. Ask the community for help. We have a wonderful community here. And listen, you know what? I understand that running these things can be hard, and that going through this might be hard. And maybe you made promises that you can't keep up with, but at the end of the day, you need to keep up with yourself. Hold yourself accountable and get help. So that's kind of the gist of it. Sorry about the little bit of a rant here this morning. It's been a lot for me to go through. I know there's been word that like DenFur's finances I think are public at this point in time. I don't want to really go through those right now because I'm just going through like my own emotions with this. Lots of love to every single person out there. If y'all, by the way, if any of y'all volunteer at cons, big thank you. Big thank you. Y'all are amazing. I try and volunteer at cons too. Actually, I'm gonna do a quick plug here because I think this is important. If any of y'all are going to be attending Texas Furry Fiesta, that's coming up here really soon, please consider volunteering or applying to work for the con. I know it's a big ask. I know it's a big deal, but the con could really use your help. It's an amazing con. It's a con that I've been a part of for many years now. It's run by some amazing people. So me and my husband, we're going to be working in security. And then, like there's tons of other departments. Anything that catches your fancy, anything that you want to help out with, please consider volunteering. Hey, thank you so much for watching this video. Don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you aren't already, and drop me a comment down in the comments section below. I want to know what you think of this whole DenFur drama. I know it is quite the saga, quite the experience. I'm still trying to kind of process it all myself, but let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section below, please. I want to know what you think of Corgi Events, what you think of what happened with DenFur, any of your thoughts on the drama. I want to hear about it. Lots of love, y'all. I hope you have a wonderful day. Hey. Goodbye. Love y'all. Goodbye. Later, y'all. Bye.